All right, here we go. Today we're going to be doing an old video, remake of an old video off my old YouTube account, Neverwinter Nights 2 Bunny Backpack Creation. All right, so we're going to use the same exact bunny and create the same exact backpack. And I do have another tutorial that I'm putting out. I'm actually editing right now and putting out with this one. It's going to be more explanative, but it also has more information and more intermediate level. But this is very beginner, very basic. This is a file that we grabbed online. So if you want to replicate this with your own cloak, your own backpack, which is what we're going to be making, go ahead and use your own file, have your own textures ready and everything set. And we're going to jump right into this. So try to make this quick. Let's be in and out. This is a bunny backpack creation for Neverwinter Nights 2 2025 edition, I guess, Blender 3.6 as opposed to Blender 2.79. So jumping right into the spirit of things, we're going to go ahead and load up our bunny backpack. So import XPS file, and I have it here loaded up already under Teddy Backpack, Teddy Bear, and Bunny Backpack. And here is our bunny, nice and cute little bunny. Open it up. We have one file, which is perfect for us. Going to go ahead and hit Alt J to turn that into quads. I'm going to select all of these right here. All right, and that's just going to be cleaning up the file. I'm going to go ahead and select everything here and go to mesh, normals, average, face area. It's going to help me clean up my normals a bit. All right, then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up a new window by clicking this little arrow up here and go ahead and drag it on over like that. What we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab this and change this to UV editor right now. I just want to look at my UVs. There's our UVs for our bunny. I want to go ahead and I'm going to work in very low poly mode. I'm not going to turn this up any higher. Leave it just like that. Now, if you want to work in a higher poly mode, what you can do is simply come in here, go to edge, go to vertex, and then go to, edge, subdivide. And then you just doubled your poly count and you get these little ripples. If you get that going on, what you can do is go to mesh, go to normals, and go to average face area. It'll fix that issue and you got a more higher res version of a bunny. I'm just going to leave mine like this. It's fine to work with the low poly file. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and import our human skeleton and our cloak skeleton. The reason why we need both is because we're going to utilize the human skeleton for the body, but we're ultimately going to tie it off to the cloak skeleton when we export. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here on my XPS, just in this folder is fine. Go to file, I'm going to go to import. I'm going to import my those files by MDB. All right. I'm going to go ahead and select pull these from your original vanilla files. If you don't have them, you can pull them from your Neverwinter Nights 2 data files in your program files, 86 folder and stuff, so forth and like that under data models. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the HHM CL cloak. All right. And I'm going to grab the HHM CL body 01. That's boots. That's the wrong one. I have so many things in here. Sometimes I get confused. So let's look for body, gloves, cloth, helm, boots, body 13. Where are you, body 01? Am I not seeing body 01? What's going on, body 01? Boots, body 13, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. It's somewhere. Where are you? Seriously. Am I not seeing body 01? So I see CL cloak 01. I need to clean this up. There's body 01 right there. Okay. Body 01 and cloak 01. Get in here. All right. I'm going to import both of those. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the calls. We don't need them for a cloak. So I'm going to put delete hierarchy. All right. What you want to do next is go ahead and delete the actual cloak, delete the extra cloak, and delete that third cloak. Those are all just extra things you don't need. What we want to do is come into the HHM scale here, go ahead and grab these two files, the HHMCL body 01 underscore L01 and underscore L02, hit X to delete those. We don't need those as well. Go ahead and hide your cape wing scale by selecting the little eyeball icon. We don't need it at the moment. What we do need is just this body, and we don't even need this skeleton. So delete that skeleton. All right. What we want to do is use this only as a frame of reference, something we can tie it off to, the shoulders or whatever, the cloak, whatever you want to do. All right. What you're going to do is grab your teddy bear or whatever you have. It could be a shield. It could be a sword. It could be anything you want to do. It could be anything that you import into the game. All right. Grab it, hit G, drag it on over to the back, press 1 to go to the backside view and scale that up or down as much as you want. We can make it as big as you want. however you want it, and then go ahead and grab it and place it to where you want to place it on the back. Now keep in mind that the vanilla cloth outfit is very slim. Now a lot of the modified or mods and armors outfits that have been made are not as slim as this outfit, so sometimes you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt and just pull it out a little bit, and there it'll work most. If not, it's just going to clip a little bit through some of the other outfits, just perfectly fine, not the biggest deal. We'll make it work. All right, so what we want to do here is go ahead and grab it to a point where you feel you're comfortable with it. Now if you want to apply some sort of physics, what you can do is go ahead and hit shift, hold down shift, and use the right click and click where it about right there, about behind the shoulder. All right, and go ahead and create a pivot point. That's what we're creating, this little circle. Create a pivot point right there. In order to access that pivot point, we're going to come up here to this little area called transform pivot point, select it, hit 3D cursor, and now we can pivot on that point. And if we want to pull this out a little bit more, just like that, that's fine too. Now, because I am working with an XPS file, it does have its own preset bones. All right, and if I were to go to this armature here and go to visibility, and actually not visibility, if I were to go down here to let's see, am I on the armature? Yes I am. Let's go to the bone here, and I don't know why it's doing that, but let's go ahead and select bone groups. No, let's see, where are you at? Viewport display, and I put in front, which is not really showing in front, is it? Oh, it's only one bone. Well, then we can't really move these ears. But if you want to move those ears, feel free to do so. All right. Forget what I was trying to show you there. Doesn't really matter because he only has one bone. All right. So once we got that bunny set, or you got your backpack, your sword, shield, whatever you want, once you have it set into place, what we're going to do now is go ahead and let's hide the body for now in case we got to make some edits. We're going to grab this entire bunny. What we're going to do is go ahead and tie it down to a bone. So we're going to turn on our skeleton. All right, and this is our skeleton. This is where the cloak attaches to. We're going to find the name of the bone to which the cloak will attach itself to, and this is the bone you want right here. So if we go into edit mode with the bone selected and choose that bone, we get the name called HHM's Cape Wing Skull. It's also right here. I'm going to go ahead and steal that name, okay? Copy it. I'm going to go ahead and copy that name, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of that selection. Click on my bunny. All right, so what you're going to do is click on your item, your mesh that you want to make as a backpack. And what you're going to do is go ahead and delete any vertex groups you may have and hit plus, and then double click and name it what you copied there. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign all of the weights of this bunny onto that one bone. So when that bone moves, that entire bunny will move with it. All right. So to do that, we already have the weight created. We just got to assign it to this weight, to this bone. So to do that, we're going to hit edit mode, select everything, and then go ahead and click assign. And when we do that, we now have assigned all of that weight. Remember, you choose how much weight you want to assign. We're assigning all of it, 1.0 weight, to this bone. Hit assign, and then if you want to double check your work, come up here to edit mode, change this to weight paint, and it should turn red. If it's blue, it means it's not assigned to that bone. If it's red, it means it is. Okay, so we want to come back out there, go back into object mode. And what we want to do now is we're going to go ahead and tell the game now that this bone is assigned to this armature. So there's two ways to do that, but we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. All right, we're going to go ahead and select here, and then we're going to first remove it from its original parented bone. See how it's parented to this armature? We're going to remove it. So to remove it, we're going to hit Alt P. All right, and put clear parent and keep transformation. So we cleared it, but we kept how we transformed it by moving it upward in position. All right, so and to do that, now what we're going to do is delete the armature, select the armature now, and hit X. And then it says delete, press yes. And now the armature is gone. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and select this, and then shift select the Cape Wing skeleton. All right, and hit Control P, not Alt P. Alt P removes from parent. Control P adds to parent. So hit Control P, set parent to object. And now, as you can see, I'm going to undo and redo a few times. You're going to see up here how we moved it from here, and it moved into the parented item. So it was up here outside the directory. Now it's in the directory. Now it's in that directory of the parent. So this skeleton is now in control of this bunny. Now, if that's not fully done yet, because the game needs to understand that too. In order for the game to understand that, we have to click our mesh, our backpack, our sword, our shield, what have you. All right. And we're going to go to modifiers and make sure if you don't have a modifier, go ahead and click add modifier, choose the one called armature. And in the object drop down, grab this little pin here, this little ink drop, and drop it over this object called HHM Cape Wing Scale. And that will automatically tell the game, the engine, that this right here is controlled by this skeleton. So if you don't have to use this little tool if you don't want to. You can always click it, and if there's various skeletons in the scene, it will find it. Choose the one that works for you, which is Cape Wing Scale. Alternatively, what you can do is copy the name and paste it into our modifiers tab here, just like this. All right, add modifier and paste it in there just like that. I usually like pasting it over this little area too, just to keep it like that. Do not click apply. I repeat, do not click apply. If you apply this, it will do nothing for the game, and it will just give you an error when you render it in game. Very important that you do not apply. You leave it just like this, because the game is going to see this information and associate this mesh, this bunny, as the backpack to this skeleton, which is the Cape Wing skeleton, which is cape and obviously wings. So it's built for capes and wings in the game. All right. So as you can see here, when we look through it, it's got this cape, the cape right here, and it's got wings. All right. So that's why it's called Cape Wing Scale, HHM for human male. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and rename this now. So I'm going to go double click that and name it the following: P underscore HHM underscore CL for cloth underscore cloak 02. I'm not naming it 01 because sometimes I have issues with 01 showing up in the game for some reason, because the game decides, hey, F you, I don't care what you're trying to do. Even if it is your tutorial, I'm the game, I make the calls. And sometimes it's done that for me where I look stupid trying to figure out why it's not showing as cloak 01. I just found it easier just to kind of go with it, the flow, and just say, hey, game, you win, you suck, I'm the better person because I'm taking the high road. I'm going to name my cloak 02, and that will save me from any errors later on. So I'm going to copy that name. All right. I'm going to come down here to this little tab called the material tab, and I'm going to go ahead and double click that and paste that name copy into that slot. I'm also going to go to this data tab, which is the upside down triangle. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and click here and name it there too, the same as the object name. This is your object name, this is your data name, and this is your material name. The three must work together. It's kind of like the Holy Trinity of meshes. It needs to work together in order for Neverwinter Nights 2 to understand and read this properly. If for some reason your model isn't showing in game, that's one of the troubleshoot checks to make sure that you have those three matching names before you export, okay, or even after you export, depending on how you go about it. All right, so now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and do our final checks. So the check is, do we have our Holy Trinity? Do we have our mesh object, our mesh data, and our mesh material matching names? Mesh object, mesh data, and mesh material matching names. Check. We're good to go. Is it weighted? Let's go ahead and check the weights. The vertex data. And let's go into weight data. Yes, it's all the red is tied off to this bone. This bone being the skeleton bone right here. This bone right here. So when this bone moves, and we can test that if we'd like to by going into pose mode and selecting this bone, if I rotate this bone, that bunny will rotate with it. See how it's moving with it? Now, if I rotate this bone, nothing happens because the bunny is not tied to that bone at all. If I wanted the bunny to move with this bone, I have to tie it to that bone. And this bone is called R Cape 1. So if I change this bunny to R Cape 1, now when I go into this skeleton and I move this bone again, pose mode, R Cape 1, well, why isn't it doing it? Let's see, maybe I renamed it right. R Cape 1. Okay, let's see, R Cape 1. Did I name that right? This is that moments where I start looking dumb. All right, so R Cape 1. Are we tied off to it? Yes, we are. Okay, let me go back into object mode. Go back into here, pose mode, and that is called R Cape 1. I don't know what's going on. Why is it not moving with R Cape 1? Okay, it should be moving with R Cape 1. Maybe it lost connection. I don't know. Let's see. RCape 1. Let's copy it here. Actually, my bad. It's not called RCape 1. It's called HHM Cape Wing RCape 1. So I'm copying that name. All right. And I'm going to go into object. I'm going to come back in here and paste that there. And I had a good flow going too, I think, until this happened, obviously. But this is my fault. Now that I've done that, if I go back into my skeleton and I go into pose and I move RCape 1. Oh, that's not RCape 1. Now it should move. Well, I guess it's not called RCape 1. Is it called? No. Oops. Edit mode. Is it called RCape 1? Yes, it is. Skeleton. Okay, now it's making me look silly. RCape 1. Yes, it is. And I don't understand why it's not moving with RCape 1 when it should be moving with RCape 1. So when I go into data tab here and I type in paste, okay, weight paint, and it's pasted and it's weighted to RCape 1, and it's tied off to that skeleton. It is, yes. And when I come into this skeleton, then by that meaning, it should obviously move with that skeleton. There. Don't know what happened there, but wow, it's working now. All right, so RCape 1, see how RCape 1 now moves with it? So when the body moves, all right, and RCape 1, this is what happens. See how the cloak on, it means the left side, right side, it's going to only move that side. Now, I hope that did not confuse you. If it did, I'm going to undo everything. Don't worry about it. I just want to show you how assigning your mesh to a certain bone. Let me undo all that. Okay. I'm just going to grab this again. I'm going to go back into my edit mode. I'm going to grab the name of this skeleton, of this bone. Object mode, come into the skeleton, go into edit mode. Grab the name of this bone, which is Cape Wing Skull. All right, that's the name of the bone right there. And if I didn't know the name of the bone, it's right there. Click the bone. I'm going to go ahead and go back into object mode. Click on my bunny and go ahead and paste that back there. All right, so that is one of our checks. So I'm sorry for that whole segue into this whole thing. I was trying to show you how exactly you can tie it off to any bone you want. But that's one of the checks to make sure that your backpack, sword, whatever, is tied off to an actual bone. All right, so now that we know it is, all right, that's the second check. Of course, the first check again was the Holy Trinity. Second check is to make sure you're weighted off. The third check is to make sure that in this wrench, when you have this object selected, go to the little wrench icon called modifiers, and then make sure that you have it set up like this. Okay, make sure that this is showing what it's attached to, and make sure it's not clicked on apply. All right. Now that we're done with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn on back on this body that we had at the beginning. Delete it. We don't need it. I only brought it in as a reference only. All right. And the last thing we're going to do is come back into our bunny, go into edit mode. And if you're using the latest version of Fresh Looks tools, you don't need to do this. It does it for you. But if not, you want to use it for safe practice and kind of get used to it. Press Control T to triangulate our faces. Okay. So that makes the game that if it does not triangulate and you're using an older version of the mesh, it will give you an older version of the plugin. It will give you an error saying that you cannot, it'll give you an error. Pretty much. So make sure that you hit Control T to triangulate this object. All right. The last thing we're going to do is copy this name, copy, and go ahead and go to and select everything just as a safety measure. Go to File, go to Export, go to MDB, Neverwinter Nights 2. Go to where you have your textures at, or your working folder, and just hit Selected Objects. If you have everything selected, if you don't worry about it. Make sure you don't select selected objects. If you deselect selected objects, it will export everything in the scene. So if you have various scenes and you want to export, that's when you select this. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and export that. And then right here, if you don't see an error within a few seconds, a red error, then you export it correctly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come through and look at it. It's right there. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete one that I did earlier because I don't want it having issues. All right. So now that I've done that, what I'm going to do now is open up the textures in Photoshop and just make sure that they're correct. All right. So this is the texture here. All right. That's our diffuse texture. And this is our normal map texture. All right. So what I want to do is I want to ensure that first my normal map texture has the specular map adjusted inside. So what I'm going to do is go into this map right here and pull it out. Now this is a multi-channel texture map. This is not covered in the original 2021, 2020, 2022 version when I did 2.79 version of this tutorial. I don't really cover this. I'm not going to cover this now because it's a lot. It's kind of, it can be tricky to cover. So just bear with me while I fill this in right quick and do what I know what I have to do to get this out and running. So I'm going to shift save this. I'm actually going to rename this texture to Bunny B for Bunny Backpack underscore in. All right. Underscore in. All right. And I'm going to name that as a DDS. I'm going to go ahead and save that as a BC3 compression. So if I come down here to BC3, hit save, let that save. All right. I'm going to open up this one right here and I'm going to name this. All right. As Bunny. If I can learn how to type Bunny BD and change that to DDS. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and click save and just save that as BC3. It's already set. Go ahead and save that out. All right. And now what I'm going to do is one more thing I should have done earlier is change this up in Blender. I'm going to come up here and change this to shader editor. And I'm going to go ahead and select everything, hit A, and hit delete. We're going to recreate a node, and this is relevant for anything you're exporting in Blender to Neverwinter Nights 2. So this is a very cover-all tutorial in this session at least. All right. So in order to get your textures to show correctly in Neverwinter Nights 2, you must open up a new shader editor window right here, and then what you're going to do is click. All right. Shift A, search, what you can do is simply come over here and you can just delete it and add another one. But if you don't have a texture, you can just click add new and it'll create this for you. But if not, click Shift A, search, type in PRIN for principled BSDF. You're going to click that, drop it in there. You're also going to click Shift A, search, S for search. So once again, Shift A to add, S to search, type in material output. All right. You're going to put that right there. This basically means this right here, whatever we plug into this material is going to output to our surface. All right. That's our surface. This is our surface. What we're going to do is we have to put textures or images, plug them into our material so they'll output to our surface. All right. So to do that, we must add the texture files, which are image files. So we're going to hit Shift A to add, hit S to search, type in image texture, grab it, drop it right here. And we're going to go ahead and grab it again, hit Shift D to duplicate it. Or if you don't feel like duplicating, you can just, let me go and delete it. You can go ahead and just Shift A, search, add another image texture just like that. Drop it about halfway through right here, because we're going to insert something right here. And if we go in that area, Shift A, S to search again, type in a normal map, grab that, drop it right here. And then go ahead and do the following. Connect this thing called normal to normal. That's our material. And then our color texture to the normal map, and then come over here and type and plug in this color to base color. All right. So basically what we have here is our material setup. We have our material that is going to output to the surface, which is our screen. All right. And in the game, and then our material consists of two textures, one being a base color material, which is a diffuse map, and the other one being a normal map. But we can't just plug in a normal map into like that because it doesn't work that way. You have to tell the engine, the game, that this map, this texture, this color texture is not a regular texture. It is a normal map. Therefore, it must read tangent space correctly. All right. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open up those files we just made, or the ones for your backpack if they already have them made. Mine's called Bunny D. Okay. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to open up my normal map called Bunny In. All right. Oops, that's the wrong one. Bunny In. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down here and make sure you have this set to, for your normal map, color space to non-color. It's very important that it understands that this is a non-color map. This is not based off RGB values, that this map is actually is to be read in a certain way. And that's what this little bad boy is going to do. It's going to convert that over for you. It's going to say choose your UV map, which is UV1. All right. Or whatever it's called, UV map, whatever it has. If you have various UV maps, you may have an issue in export, but we're not covering that this time around. All right. So what we're going to do is go ahead and have that set up right there. We did our checks, Trinity, material, all that stuff like that, all done. What we're going to do now is get ready to re-export this again. And now our plugins are everything set up. But before we do that, before we do that last part, what I want to do is come over to the object tool, all right, and come over here. If you have FreshLooks tools installed, which you should at this point, because there's no other tool that works for what you're doing here. So if you're just watching this to watch, then just watch. But if you're trying to follow along and you're trying to do this, what you want to do is come down here to this NWN2 2 tab, set this to mesh, and go ahead and set your material settings here. If your material has transparency, you want to make sure you hit transparency mask. That lets the engine know that there's transparency. That's not really advanced, but I'm just saying, if you have a cloak that has rips and tears in it and you have an alpha channel for that, that's where you want to click that. You don't have to if you're not. What you want to do is come down here. I usually turn my spec color because the game reads light in such a very bad way. I turned that to about 0.75. All right. And then what I want to do is you can set this, leave this at 1, and I set this to 10 normally. 1 and 10 is a good starting area for your texture, for your shininess. That just controls how the material is read. So if I were to turn this up, I don't think you can preview it there. Let me see if I turn it to 100. You won't really see the preview there. Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, if we want to preview our nodes here, what I can do is come up here to solid shading, go to texture, and then if it's doing this, it's because you have the wrong texture selected. So if I select this texture, it will show me where. If I select this one, it will show me what. All right, so I'm going to select this one, and that's our bunny. Okay, and I don't believe this covers the preview in there. Maybe in here. Let me see. No, it won't. So that doesn't cover that. Don't worry about what I just did there. I'm just kind of showing something. So that's what we have right there. Now what we have, our material set up and our texture set up, I can grab this all again and go ahead and re-export this again and just save over the original one, hit export. All right. And then once I'm done, I can go into the game and test this. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right. So let me make sure this is right. So I'll see you in game because I can't really play the game and it takes up a lot of RAM, old games, right? So yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get into that. Let me make sure this is not showing. Yep. And get into the game. Start up the game. Let me turn down my volume a little bit. That was me turning down my volume. It makes a very loud noise. Actually, that was not cool. That was my spray cologne that actually hit the desk. Anyways, so gonna go ahead and go to multiplayer. Sign in and okay. Down. All right. I'm actually going to join the Neverwinter Nights Baldur's Gate server because I have a character in there that I test my things with. So Baldur's Gate South, let's connect. I have a character that should have the cloak on already because I've been making different cloaks for this. And I just kind of wanted to make a tutorial for this. So I'm going to select character. I believe it's this guy right here. Start the game, and he should have the backpack on if I did everything correctly. Now, there's one thing I probably didn't do correctly. I'm going to show you what it is right now. I'm going to preview it live. So the backpack is on the ground. Why is the backpack on the ground? Is because when in this version of Blender, unlike 2.79, we have to make sure that our materials location, it's registering it on the ground still. So we moved it, but we have to make sure we zero out all of its location. Remember, we scaled it up a little bit by 0.62. So we have to make sure that we zero this out. To zero it out, what you want to do is select the bunny and hit Shift A. And this is very important as well for anything you do, any export, any model, no matter what it is, a head, outfit, eyes, anything. You want to make sure you zero it out at the end or else it's not going to show in the proper place. I believe a good buddy of mine, Kism, is having some issues with this issue. We're making some of his monsters and stuff like that. And this is one of the things I feel like it gets a lot of us and towards the end. So you want to make sure you hit Shift A and put, Control A, I'm sorry, and hit all transforms. And right away, you're going to see all of these numbers change to 0. And now it's zeroed out. So that's its absolute starting point right there. So the game's going to know to register that as its position. Okay, so I'm going to export that again. I can have the game open still while I do that. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Export. Give that about 10 seconds. Come into the game. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to simply transition out and back into this area. Okay. Okay, and actually, I can just stay in here, actually. And there's my bunny backpack. All right. And that's how we roll. That is how we roll. Now it's a little shiny. So if I want to fix that issue, all I got to do is turn down my specular map. So this right here should be like maybe down here, less shine. Let's go ahead and put file. Let's export that again. All right, MDB, cloak 2, export. I'm gonna go back into the game. All I got to do is take it off normally and put it back on. It's going to reload the texture when I do so. And there we go. And there's our bunny backpack. Now imagine if this was a sword, a shield, freaking, I don't know, you decide, another type of bunny, you know? You decide how you want to do this. Now, I think my normals might be a little, let me try something. Let's see what happens here. If we go into the texture here, if I were to go into this bunny texture that I made, and I think they're not inverted, they might be inverted. So let me go ahead and invert the green channel, just like that. All right. And then save that. All right, now that that's saved, no, that's not right. That's a TGA that I'm touching. Let me go ahead and do that again. That was the wrong one, bunny in. Let me invert the green channel and then save this. See what happens here. Maybe that's, the mapping is off. Let me take it back off and put it back on. It might fix that stitching. There we go. I think that's more how it's supposed to look. All right. And just like that, we have a bunny backpack, ladies and gents. So, all right, that looks good. Okay, so back into the blender, we are good to go. All right, so that being done, I want to thank everybody for sticking out. Like, this tutorial went pretty quick. I know. I wanted to make it quick because it's just a cover up of one of the ones I did, more up to date. This was more for fun for me, more of just kind of like something to do. I plan to remake a lot of those old tutorials with this new stuff and the new stuff that I've learned how to use these new versions of Blender, because all of my old stuff back in 2.79 is really outdated. It's from like 4 years ago, I think, 4 years ago, and I don't use 2.79 no more. I use FreshLooks tools and I use Blender 3.6, soon to convert over to Blender 4.0 and above. Just waiting for some updates on that to happen. But other than that, this is how you get a backpack in game. It doesn't have to be a bunny. It could be a sword. It could be whatever you want, as long as you place it in place, tie it off to a bone, and make sure your export settings are correct, get your textures in line, and you're good to go. That easy, simple. You can make a lot of these, and this is not just for the cloak. You can actually tie this off to make a scarf. You can, you saw when I tied the bunny to a shoulder and just a shoulder move. Imagine making something that would only tie to the shoulder. You can use as a cloak, and when you move, it just moves with the shoulder, such as a shield, maybe. I don't know. I'm just various results. And there's also a wing models, as I'm pointing to the screen here, wings. You can make your own set of wings, maybe tie something off into a wing. It could be anything you want. Anything you want, you can create or be creative with. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. And if you need any help or anything, go ahead and Discord me. I'll try to help you out if I can. But other than that, thanks for watching, everybody. And I want to tell you all to have a good day. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and I'll see you on the next tutorial. Thanks a lot. Bye.